welcome to the Smoke Break. I'm your host, your old pal Zane, here with Jasmine Nothing.
Hello.
And Mike Lindsey.
Hello.
Mike Lindsey is a comedian and honestly just a fucking pal of mine. I am so glad to have you here. You're one of the people I've known for the longest that I've been excited to talk to you. So I'm really stoked to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I feel
absolutely.
the same.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Do you? No, I'm kidding.
Immediate skepticism?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Start it off. You'll find out by the end of the episode if he meant it. But right now, we do have to talk about our small disclaimer, which is to say this is for entertainment purposes only. And we work in the field of mental health, but do not claim to be professionals in this space. Our intention is to have conversations around lived experience. And as a result, we may not always agree with what our guests say, but we do intend to hold a space for open conversation and learning from one another. So let's fucking debate. Let's do it. I'm just kidding. Let's talk about Desperation. Desperation, I feel like for me, it's the idea that your need for something trumps somebody else's need, you know? I think like a desperateness to do something, to have something is oftentimes where things get messy. And I feel like with the background in sobriety that I have, so sobriety from certain substances, and I'm sure yours too, what part do you think desperation plays in substance use?
I think it's equivalent to rock bottom. It's equivalent to a fork in the road. You know, it's this is what I'm doing or what I have been doing is not working.
Yeah,
and I need to make a change immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be force your hand into many things. You know, continued self-harm.
Yeah.
Ending it all to maybe turning for help and seeking out a new path.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think that desperation comes from a desperation to not feel pain. I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
the whole life is suffering thing comes around, but it's just I feel like it's to not feel pain. Just out of curiosity, where do you think desperation plays? What role do you think desperation plays in substance use?
I mean, I think desperation just means you must change something. But it doesn't. It can be something good, you can change for the better, or you can. I think the other way that desperation shows up is acting against your values.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
I feel like there's this kid that I knew a long time ago who was the sweetest kid possible and had
Mm-hmm.
a lot of values and ethics that he that held very dearly to himself.
Yeah.
And in his addiction, that. Those got thrown out the window, and that was some of the most he would do something that was against his values because of where he was at with his substance use, and then the shame around the thing that he had done was one of the reasons why he kept coming back around to the substance use anyway. So it was a vicious cycle. Which was just cycle. I know you do, which is just a really tough place to be.
Yeah.
And how do you break out of that eventually?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think it's hard to break out of it when you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that it is a area for growth. I don't know. I feel like in 2020, I got sort of desperate for connection because I'd been isolating for 2 years, on and off seeing a couple friends and really only one other person. But my desperation to connect created it had to get so bad before I noticed it was bad. It's kind of like that rock bottom you were talking
Mm-hmm.
about where it's just
increasing pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So it has to get a certain amount of bad before I notice it's bad. There's this sweet spot right here where it's if it was any worse, you would want to change it. And if it was any better, it wouldn't be a problem. And we just sit in this spot right here. And until it hits here, you just keep fucking doing the same thing.
And what's the quality of life of that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I don't know that there is one. I feel like I just keep ending up running into the same problems. So I don't know. I guess with that, I became desperate for a connection. And then because of that, I was just something has to change.
The desperation was motivating.
Exactly. Do you feel like desperation's been motivating in your past?
Oh, definitely. It's, my drug use, I ended up on a train track and talking to the trains. And that was definitely a gift of desperation for me, and I couldn't, spoiler alert, I couldn't do it. So I hate
spoilers.
I know, right? I made the decision to reach out and seek help, and was with open arms, and now I'm 26 months.
Yeah, 26
Congrats.
months. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
So
it's a whole lot of one day at a time,
It definitely is. And And I did, I've done the recovery thing before. I had 7.5 years before.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was probably when I met you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in that window of time, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And had some life on life terms come my way, and I wasn't exercising my recovery tools. I say they weren't sharpened at the time.
Sure.
And so when that happened, I went back to numbing the pain, and that's what I knew deep down for so many years, and that's what I went back to. So
because it's also really effective.
Oh, definitely.
More effective than most things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
drugs are very good at what they do.
Not going to be that bad because I'll figure it out this time, But you get back to immediately where you were when you left off the first time. So
yeah, well, I definitely think that's possible. I don't know. I tried to. So I had been sober for about like 2 years during that time of like isolation, and 2020 hit, and I was kind of just like, I don't know, fuck it. Like it won't get that bad again. It won't get that bad again. Mm-hmm. And in truth, it never did get that bad again. But it did not get bad, which I think is like
a different flavor of bad.
Yeah,
maybe?
like a different flavor of bad. There's 23 flavors of bad, and I had 22 of them. Yeah, so it was interesting. It was definitely interesting because it was like I could definitely make the case that like it won't get that bad again. And I think there is I think there's room for us to say that like maybe certain behaviors and certain things won't happen again. But I think to say that it won't get bad, I don't know that you can participate in like risky substance use and say that it'll be fine every time. That's kind of a gamble.
What did you learn from going back to substance use?
I think I learned that I have a really hard time with dealing with just emotions in general, like if like negative emotions, like anger and sadness, and that I oftentimes would drink in those when I was in those feelings, and that like the anger and the sadness never went away even when I had alcohol back. I just, like I remember distinctly the time that I decided to stop drinking. I was sitting on a back porch with buzzballs. Buzzballs? Come on, fucking nobody should have those. Those should be illegal.
Fair enough.
Fucking buzzballs.
I believe in like legalization of a lot of other stuff, but not those.
Yeah. Let's harm reduction. But I was fucking sitting on the back porch. I was just drinking them, and I was just like, I think I can drink myself out of the sadness. And
how'd that go?
Mike, how did it go?
They say you're not a bad person the way you tried to kill your sadness, but
there you go.
But I think deep down that's true. But obviously, there's there's certain things that do arise with our character defects and whatnot that we end up maybe doing to maintain our path of addiction.
Yeah.
But deep down, I don't think anybody's a bad person for trying to kill their sadness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people shit on Macklemore, but like, I'm still with you, homie. Okay, you and me. All right. People shit on Macklemore, but he did have this line that
you should send him this episode.
Oh, absolutely, I will. He had this line that's like, you take away the issue. You keep the issues, but you take away the drugs. And I had to find out who I really was. And like that line fucking just hit so hard with me because it's like that when I took away the substances, I realized that like substances weren't the problem. Me struggling as an individual was the problem. The substances may have presented like in different ways of like, if I'm having a really hard time with this and I'm taking a bunch of substances to like counteract what I'm having a hard time with, then my problem is what I'm struggling with, and the substances
were a coping skill.
Yes.
Just one that didn't work out so great. I mean, like in the spectrum of coping skills, there's stuff that is like really harmful and stuff that's far less harmful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Especially until you figure out which ones are going to like work for you and not cause harm to yourself and the people around you.
Yeah. What's been a tool that's helped you?
For the longest time before I had this battle with I say addiction and recovery and relapse and all that kind of stuff. I was kind of going through a lot of I was using, but I was a kind of a chameleon, and a functioning addict, if you will.
Sure.
And but I was dealing with some mental health stuff. I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 and trying to find out, learn about
Never told me, Mike.
No, sorry. Learn more about depression and all that kind of stuff. And one of the tools that I used was I created an Excel spreadsheet. I'm a cost accountant by trade, so I like the spreadsheets. And I would track my mood.
Everybody has different coping skills.
That's right. Yeah.
Just can include Excel.
Right?
That's great.
Yeah. So I would track my mood each day and just give it a 1 through 10. And then I would also track, as I got a little farther along, I was noticing, the dips and all that kind of stuff. And then I was noticing I would track coping skills positive or negative. And obviously, when I was having a down day, the negative coping skills were accelerated, and vice versa.
That tracks.
Yeah, vice versa. And that might seem like a no-brainer, but it was interesting just to see it on a spreadsheet.
You would think
and
it's a no-brainer, but there's a lot of that shit that when you really just see it on paper, you're like, no, I guess I was sad for a whole fucking week.
Yeah.
And the week that I was sad, I didn't take care of myself, and you're not going to believe it, the next week I also felt sad. What do you know?
Have you ever journaled?
Journaling's the one I want to do.
Right. I mean, it's a similar kind of thing. I don't do it very well myself, but when I do, and then when I find a journal that I've started and stopped and read through it, I'm like, oh, okay. I see how we got here.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
That was a sign.
I like journals for the simple fact that it makes you read back and be like, oh, what do you mean I haven't worked through this? Fuck off. No, we're gonna get through that. What about you? You journaled?
I used to all the time. Like there's a giant box in the basement of all the old journals. And mostly when I go back, it is just like, holy shit, I was sad all the time. And slightly less now, but like most of the time it's really sad and like just like cringy, like 17-year-old girl stuff where you're just like everybody's
screamo lyrics.
Everybody's 17-year-old journal makes you sound terrible. I feel like it's pretty inevitable.
Any classic lyrics found in there?
Yeah.
No, mostly just like really sad poems.
Oh, okay.
See, there you go. I knew you wrote poems.
Not proud of it, but that's why they're in my journal.
Well, and I feel like the cool thing about journals is that like you kind of just get all of the thoughts out of your head, because I feel like whether we want to admit it or not, like we kind of just want to hold on to like the bad thoughts, so that way we're like not forgetting them. It's like, oh, things are bad and I need to remember they're bad so I can stay safe. But it's like at the same time, it's just like if you just write that shit on a page, it's like you don't need to fucking file it up there. It's not going anywhere. It's like a to-do list, except for worrying, I guess.
There's also like a weird comfort in like the like falling back on the stuff you've always had. So like sometimes I'm like, ooh, who would I even be without sadness? And like letting go of that as like a part of me feels strange.
Yeah.
I don't know I would do it anyways, but like in theory, like the theory of it, I'm just like, oh, like how would that be to like not like hold on to that? It's like almost like an identity or something.
What was your what was it? What was your relationship with journaling? Because you brought it up. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, I was always one that was interested in it. I would start it and then I would never continue. Or I get a good, really nice journal.
A whole lot of journals with like the first 15 pages done and a lot of blanks.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do recall one time I was under the influence of many things, psychedelics and all this kind of stuff, and I wasn't feeling very well. But I would get up in the middle of the night and go and write, and I would feel better. And I go like lay back down, like, oh, I don't feel good. And I get up and go write some more. Yeah. I figured out life all the way until a plant moves towards the sun. I wish I had that paper somewhere just to see what it said. It felt really incredible. I can still remember it.
Good old hallucinogens.
But yeah, it was crazy. But
that's funny. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's not really any other documentation that we've been here, like we don't really get that's the closest we'll ever get to a Wikipedia page of like, and then this happened, or a memoir, it's like most of us aren't going to write a memoir, but it is really cool to like, I don't know, like I feel the same way about journals as I do pictures. And that is like, I don't like taking pictures and I don't like writing journals, but I do like looking back and being like, that's where I was. That's what I was doing. Things are better now.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of adorable. Let's end there. We're gonna take a real quick break.
I'll keep taking pictures of you.
Perfect. And we will be right back with the smoke break. And welcome back to the smoke break. I'm your host, Joel Pal Zane, here with Jasmine Nothing. Still here with Mike Lindsey.
Hey, how's it going?
So during this part, we wanted to circle back to something we were talking about a little bit earlier, which was just the idea of connection. Something that I had heard and just really, I'm not going to say it, connected, but there it is. Connected with was
predictable.
Thank you. I know, but at least it's safe. It's predictable and safe. But it's just the idea that the opposite of addiction is connection. The opposite of addiction is community. The opposite of these things, because I feel like
the opposite of trauma is a thing we say a lot.
There you go. Yeah, I think that suffering is you're allowed to suffer extra when you think that you're the only one who's experiencing it. Because you're just like, oh, like, of course I am bad. That's why I feel bad. And I'm the only person who should feel bad because I'm the only person. And it's like when you connect with other people, that's why I think rooms are so important, is that like you get to connect with other people and understand them. What role did connection play in your journey?
Well, when I was out there using, I had a certain sense of connection with people that, maybe didn't have my best interest in mind.
Sure.
But we did have a common goal, and that was to numb pain and, to, create escape for ourselves.
Sure.
And so when we were able to help each other out in doing that, that became kind of a connection there.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that when I made the choice to choose recovery and change my life, even though it was a positive thing, there was a huge gap in any kind of connection for a minute because I had using friends that I could no longer associate with.
Yep.
And then I hadn't established any friends in the recovery world.
Yep.
And so that was a very, very lonely part of my life. But being immersed in rooms, being immersed in a program with a bunch of like-minded people and developing those relationships, and being encouraged to reach out, get phone numbers, call the people and talk to them and have, and realize it's, you're not alone. It's a we program. So.
Yeah, no, I like that. I really appreciate that. The thing that I was going to ask is in reference to the that's what it was. In reference to the connections that you had lost and the ones that you were making, that's something that we kind of run into in our work where it's like we work with houseless folks and they're coming out of our program and it's like, okay, how do we connect you with a community so that way you're not just choosing to come back to the place where all your friends are, because it's like you build you build this connection, you build this camaraderie with all these people who share the similar situation. And then when your situation changes, you can still be friends with those people, but at the same time, you do kind of need to start branching off and building connection in this new life that you've created for yourself. And I feel like that's kind of a scary thing.
It absolutely is. I was thinking about what I think that happens a lot is with the homeless folks we work with. So they'll get an apartment for the first time and they haven't lived indoors for a long time. And they've been doing okay. They've been living outside for a chunk of time and it's been okay. And they've been able to hold it together and get their shit done. And then they move into an apartment and then in 1 week, they fall apart. They kind of drop all of the armor and the white knuckling they've been doing to hold everything together. And now that they are safe to be a mess and have a place to be a mess, oh man, do they catch up on being a hot mess?
Yeah.
And
just
so
get it all out of the way.
Yeah, and it's this funny thing of thinking everything was going to be better once they were housed, and now it's not true. And just the isolation of do you maintain the peace of this place that you have control over? But then you're also hoarding a resource that you feel really shameful to not share with all the people that you've made these connections with.
Yeah.
And then you have all those folks move in with you, then you will not be able to maintain that resource for very long either.
No.
And things will just fall apart again, and then you're back in the same boat as they are.
Yeah.
And the morals of that is really tough for folks.
Yeah. Well, and I like that the last thing that you said was about the boat because you have a really cool boat tattoo that kind of connects to this.
Yeah, just the idea of you got to stay in the boat. If you are in a boat and you are in the water and there's other people in the water and you drag every single person in the water into the boat with you, what will happen to your boat? It will topple and you will also no longer be in a boat.
I'm not good at boat physics, so I was really curious about the end of that.
I would like to tell you that if you put everybody in a boat, it will go upside down.
The more you know.
Yeah. Now you know.
Have you had any experience with that? With finding
boats?
Yeah, boats specifically.
More about trains.
Oh my god, I love you so much, Mike. One of my favorite comedians. Please go check him out if you get the opportunity. But yeah, as far as connection and stuff, do you feel not connection, but I mean, I guess the circling back to the people who aren't in the boat. Do you feel that need to be how do I help these people? Or is it, do you have a survivor's guilt of I'm in the boat and they're still struggling? Maybe I should get back in the water?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I was in a faith-based high accountability program for quite a while and I was in leadership and so we were, immersed with helping people basically 24/7 and at different levels of help. It could be, helping somebody get established in their room. It could be, helping them talk through, some feelings that they're having about, using or finding a meeting or getting to a class or whatever the case may be, all kinds of help. But we'd see people fall off and leave and whatnot. And that was tough sometimes to see, and again, I think it was the more connection you had with people and the more relationship you had with people, it was tougher than if someone just showed up and then turned around and said this isn't for me and left. But yeah, I think there's a natural feeling of, I wish we could just take care of everybody.
Yeah.
But there's also that level of, are they doing what they need to be doing for themselves and whatnot. And earlier I mentioned, the connection or the transition from
sobriety to
addiction to sobriety and that loneliness or that connection between the two. There's also connections in each step you go. So I've stepped away from this program, and I've noticed that there's a feeling of now what, and who am I connected with? I'm not connected with people, quite as immersed as I was. I had a bunch of people in my boat, and now I don't. Now I have my own boat going in a different direction. And I still wave at people in other boats that I know.
I love belaboring a metaphor. It's
We're
great.
staying in boats.
But I refuse to sink. But it is noticeable. And whether you're going from houselessness to a house, whether you're going from a treatment program to back home, whether you're going from a treatment program to a sober living house,
any of those transitions,
there needs to be ultra support, and that's what we don't have in this community. I think for each step of the way, I don't think we've recognized that that's how much support is needed for each of those in different manners, because of the fact that I'm now, I'm now sober, I'm now no longer houseless, I have my own place, and now I get to, deal with myself, and now I'm alone, and I don't have all that support that I had because
this is the most excited I've heard anybody say I get to deal with myself.
Yeah, right.
I get to deal with myself.
But it's a reality, like you mentioned with the Macklemore lyric and stuff. It's you're just faced with the person in the mirror that you're seeing and know too well and know everything about, and the faith that maybe others have in you may not have in directly
in yourself.
So
I appreciate
there's
that.
a lot of support needed at each of those junctions, I think.
Well, and I think the reason that why support is so necessary during those parts is because like there seems to be this idea that like once I am or have, then once I am housed, then things will be fine. Once I am sober, then things will be fine. And like people get to the other side of it, and it's like you don't have zero problems. I've never had zero problems. I've had new problems, different problems, but I've never had zero problems. And quite often it's like you had unhoused problems. Now you have housed problems. So it's just like it's you have like I had troubles with drugs. Now I have troubles like not doing drugs. And it's like you don't ever get to a place of like zero problems. And I think that like when you're struggling, when you're suffering, when you're hurting, it's so nice to believe that on the other side of me not doing this is like all the happiness I ever wanted. But I don't feel like that's always the case.
I wonder how much we just need to like predict it better of like, you're going to make this change and some parts of it are going to be awesome and some parts will still suck.
Yeah.
Like your value doesn't change. You are still important while you were houseless. You are still just as loved and valuable when you are using drugs. Like you are still an amazing person that I care about, and things will still suck afterwards. They'll suck different.
Yeah.
But like it's not like you didn't fail because things aren't going perfectly.
Mike, you're doing so well.
I'm taking on that one. Like, don't do it. My inner 9-year-old was like, tell her.
You fought it, and I'm so proud of you.
No.
But no, I think that I just so much agree with like the parts of the steps. Like there's almost needs to be somebody accompanying you to the next spot, because it's very much like, okay, you're graduated, just go over there, and like from the fucking trip from here to there, there's 1,000 people who are like, what if you just went back, like all the way back? And it's like they don't mention that, they don't mention that like you kind of need somebody to walk you to the fucking door, make sure you get in okay, and then
go in with you still. I mean, like
that would be
like
so
chaperoning
nice.
you through like the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's something that we do is sometimes we try to take folks to like meetings and stuff like that if that's something that they want to do. But I think that like I don't know that some of them would make it if they didn't have somebody literally chaperoning them to it.
The program I was in had some real beautiful stories of taking someone that's at rock bottom on the streets, needle in their arm, hot mess, taking them to detox, guide them to detox. Guide them from detox to a 28-day program, and then guide them from a 28-day program into a sober living, and then guide them from sober living, help them get a job while they're there, help them get back on their feet, but then at letting them go from that point, it's like, well, now what?
Well, now you have a bunch of money, and
now you have.
What do you know to spend your money on?
I mean, it's hopefully, it gives a chance for people to reset.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that's really helped me, you know, and put life back together in some regards. But there's many people that maybe they don't stay long enough, or they don't grasp it enough, or there's just too much to deal with. You know, there's so many. Everybody has their own. You know, it's like every time you help an addict, it's like a choose your own adventure. You know, in some regards, because you don't know what the traumas were. You don't know what the
why are they using? Is it because they're trying to avoid this?
What's their character defects? What's their mental health? What's their you know, all these things, and it's just a real sad, you know, thing, but it's also an opportunity to help others, and there are some victories, and those are to be cherished.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I think just when it comes to like even defining a victory, you know, like sometimes like it's the one thing that I do really like about like step programs is, you know, like the one day at a time, you know, where it's just like I just have to be sober for today, you know, and it's just like I guess the problem that I have with step programs is just the idea that like all of your time, like by definition, your 7 years vanished. But that's not true, Mike. That 7 years doesn't go anywhere. And that's what I think, like there needs to be that, you know, that understanding of like, you did 7 years sobriety, which almost sounds like jail when I say it like that.
Right. You did time?
Yeah, you did time. Yeah, you got 7 years. How many months is that? But it, you know, I think that, you know, just valuing that people are trying, you know, or that people or still valuing people when they're not ready to try, because like people believing that I was worth something when I didn't believe that quite yet is the thing that eventually made me believe that like maybe I was worth like a better life. So
I mean, ultimately, that's all you want for anybody, is to like live their best life and have the highest quality of life possible. No pun intended. But thank you. And whatever that means for them, and sometimes like that victory, it could be like sobriety and abstinence from everything, and it could be like I'm not using meth anymore, but I'm still going to drink, or it could be I'm going to drink and use meth, but I'm going to do it on these days, or I'm going to do it only with safe people, or I'm going to do it in this like other safer way than I used to, like a much more like we talk about like chaotic use versus like controlled use. But like ultimately, I just want like quality of life for everybody to, for folks to be happy, and they get to kind of decide for themselves what that means. Yeah.
I think the thing I want for people is for them to not be suffering and to feel connected. So like if you find that you aren't suffering from when you stop using, then that's where I want you. If you feel that you're more connected to this group of people, then like I want you to feel connected. Like I want people to not hurt, because like I feel like most pain is caused by pain felt, you know, where it's just like I don't know where to put this hurt, and now it's out here, and now I'm sorry, and now you're using because you don't want to feel the pain either. So
how did you like build community back after like the period of isolation, since you didn't use a step program?
I knew that for me, it was my reason, you know, I had to know that like my reason for wanting to get sober, like had to be unshakable, you know, like I think that sometimes like and this is from somebody who hasn't gone any step programs, just had a really bad experience with one. But I think like oftentimes, can you help me track back?
Yeah. So the idea of like after the period of isolation, how did you find community and put everything together again?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So it was basically I was able to. I am having such a hard time answering that. I don't know if that I have. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think like steps is like the step programs are like the most predictable like version, and that is like the most well known for everybody. And so when you want to do it without that.
Oh, yes. There we go. How did I build community? It was basically just building understanding and being willing to connect outside of doing those things. You know, it's like I didn't say that like because you're doing this, I can't hang out with you, but I can say that like I can't do that while we hang out. But like that doesn't mean that like we can't be still in the same space. I've hung out with some of my best friends while they were just fucking hanging out having a beer. You know what I mean? So it was me understanding that my reason for sobriety was solid enough, and then understanding that like because my reason was solid enough, I could I could be in those spaces without it affecting me. So cool. I am not usually the last person talking, but I am this time, and we are going to take a real quick break right after this. And welcome back to the Smoke Break. I'm your host, your old pal Zane, here with Jasmine Nothing
Feeling connected to both of you.
and Mike Lindsey.
Thanks for having me.
Just over here chuckling. It's because he's trying to save up his energy for this next segment. That's right. We're talking about energy management. We're segueing so smoothly. Energy management for me is something that I'm not very good at, but is something that I'm realizing is more important than time management. Because I was making a list and saying I have all these hours and not considering how much energy I had. What has been your experience with that, Mike?
I think I first realized energy management in the sober living house that I was a leader of, house manager, if you will, and we managed up to 15 guys in a house, and it took a lot of energy. I work full time. I work either at home or I would work outside, the house and in the office, and just managing logistics of a day, was a challenge. But then to have, up to 15 guys coming and saying, I need this, help me with this, help me with this, managing schedules, managing their schedules, all these things. I found myself really needing to focus on energy management. By Thursday, I was noticing I was getting really, really tired.
Yeah.
And so I would try to, get in a nap, get in some self-care, make sure I'm doing the things that I need to be doing for my own recovery. Because if I can't fill my own cup, how can I pour into others? So that's kind of
can't fill your own boat.
Yep.
Don't fill the boat. That's the problem.
Oh, whoops. If you don't fill your boat.
I don't think you spend a lot of time in boats.
I'm terrified of water.
I
know. Not for the reasons you think. Because I almost drowned. Energy management.
That would be the reason, wouldn't it?
Yep. Is there other reasons to be afraid of water?
Reason, right?
I'm gonna look it up. Hydrophobia. Anyways, so
don't like being clean.
Was that okay? Never mind. Energy management. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's definitely an important part of it. Is like, okay, so I showed up to all my shifts. Did I show up the same way to all my shifts? If let's say you're working through the entire week, like, is your Friday, or by then are you just like, I don't know, maybe they'll get there, are you just kind of like half-assing it? And that's where I think like energy management comes in handy, where I think now I measure something on like, how much energy is this going to take? Like if going out, for me, being social, so much fucking energy. Like after this, I will not see anybody. Oh, fuck, I have a show after this. God damn
You have
it.
a show after this and a birthday party.
And a birthday. God. So energy management. Ugh. God damn it.
Not remotely topical right now.
Yeah. I'm tired and I don't want to do these things, but I'm gonna cut off this podcast early. That way I have energy for late. No, I'm kidding. We'll go the whole time. But goddamn, do you not almost have to like take away from some places? When you're managing energy, you have to like look at like, yes, I would like to do all these things. Can I realistically?
I think we need to identify what gives me energy, because energy flows both ways.
Ooh, I forgot you could get it.
So what gives me energy?
Oh my goodness.
For a while, crystal meth gave me some energy.
Yeah, I bet it did.
It's effective.
But it didn't work out so well in the end, right? But seriously though, some people, it's social interaction fills their cup. Some people, it's a hobby or it's something like that. But there's been times where I've booked a show or booked a whatever, and by the time the 2 weeks comes around or whatever for that show, you're just like, oh my gosh, I really want to do this and I'm prepared to do it, but I really don't want to do it because my energy is so low, but you kind of forge through. But I think that you see a lot of people, call in sick or have a mental health day or whatever the case may be.
You put quotes around that. I have mental health days.
No, right?
Real.
It's not when I take
rewind. But I get that a lot from working from home. People are like, oh, you work from home? No, I really do work from home. But no, there are days where it's not. I'm not sick. It's just I need to. Take a step back and do some self-care.
Yeah,
identify what fills your cup. So.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's a good question. What does fill your cup? Whiskey. No,
music is one thing. I love techno.
Okay. You're still old enough to call it techno. I fucking love it, Mike. Get it, dude.
Nobody listens to techno.
Yeah,
but no, it's that's one thing that Karaoke is one thing that really energizes me, and I enjoy singing, and so a lot of music.
It sounds like music, writing, all of that has been kind of important. Just in your journey.
And then I think also combating some of the I don't know if combating is the right word or not, but some of the the things of anxiousness I have, and
it's a fight.
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to reword it to say I don't have anxiety. I have anxious moments. I think I'm trying to change the narrative about that, because I don't want to. I want to be able to set it aside at times. I don't want
the proper phrase is I don't have anxiety. Anxiety has me.
Okay, is that what it is?
No.
Sounds like something out of
It
Star
sounds
Wars.
like it's more. It sounds like it's worse, actually.
Yeah, right. But
it's like hostage.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I notice when I work through that and get on the other side of that there's some beautiful things, interactions with people that I may not have experienced before. Because, it's like that saying of everything you always wanted is on the other side of fear, kind of thing. And I think that's similar with anxiety, because how many times in your life has anxiety dictated what you do or don't do, and maybe you missed out on some beautiful things.
I mean, if I didn't do something just because I was anxious, I would never leave my house again.
See?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I almost feel like everything that you ever wanted is on the other side of being tired. You know what I mean? Because like the amount of times I've just been
right.
Just fucking the amount of times I just fucking like sleep. I'm just like, well, I am tired, and it's just like, but you wanted to go to this, and it's like, if you go to this, you might feel energy. You might get there and feel more awake. But I think that it's very easy to be like, oh, I don't think I have energy for that.
I mean, you also don't believe in rest.
No, it's a myth made by the white man.
I don't know. That's
Mike. And viewer.
some yes. Like last night, you laid on the floor for like 2 minutes, maybe.
Don't tell everyone I took a fucking long break.
You held
Jesus
still.
Christ.
You painted an entire room, and then you held still for 2 minutes, and then that was enough for you. Then you had to keep moving.
I woke up and started like cleaning and tidying, and then as soon as the walls were ready, I was like, well, now we got to paint the walls. And as soon as the walls were done, I was like, well, we got to stand here and watch them paint. You can't possibly sit right now.
You were like like taping off corners at like 8:30 this morning.
I woke up and just kept working. It's yeah. Listen, I wasn't addicted to meth. I was addicted to work.
The meth just helped you.
Exactly.
It was a tool.
It was a tool to keep working. Yeah, it's such a hard thing for me to rest. And I think it's because there's always like that list of things that you have to do, you know? And I think that like if my mind can reason that there's still time, then like my body can try to reason that there's still energy. It's often wrong. Very often wrong.
I think it's a liar, but yeah.
Yeah, I think my body's a liar. My brain listens to that all the time, though.
So what does it look like for you when you're out of energy? I mean, your body shuts down.
It's total shutdown.
Yeah.
It's like my brain won't like intake new information. It just like it spits it out. It's just like whatever you're telling me, just don't. Like, it's a total shutdown. It's often isolating because I feel like the times that I am overexerting myself, it is socially. So like I usually have to like have a period of isolation. What about you?
I think same. I need some isolation. I need some quiet time, whether it's I'm pretty good at napping. I'm maybe professional, I'm not sure, but I can
check the stats.
A 45-minute nap is really good for me at some point during a day, and just allows me to,
Yeah. Jasmine, what about you?
I'm also pretty good at naps, but I don't take them very often, if that was the question.
I'm not sure which one of these is more of a brag.
I know.
I'm terrible at naps, so fuck all y'all.
Fair enough. I did recommend one yesterday, and you didn't like that either.
Hated it.
Yeah. I struggle to. I'm actually like very good at resting and doing nothing when there's nothing to be done. But like lately, I just have been like adding more and more stuff. But all the stuff I'm adding is stuff I really want to do. So I don't really understand how I'm supposed to take those things off, because like they're simultaneously exhausting, but also like refilling my cup, and I don't really know how to like balance that out.
Mike, help us. How do we balance that?
Wow. I think priorities.
Oh, you actually had an answer. Damn. Okay, cool. Priorities. Okay, prioritize. Where do I put that on my list? Probably the most important spot.
Right. Just prioritize things. If I get to where I'm overwhelmed, I do cut something out, and it may be something that I really, really wanted to do,
That's a hard thing to do. That's a really hard thing to do, because it's like I assume everything that somebody is doing is all things that they want to do. But I think that the priorities part of that does make sense, because you can, if you thought of all the things you were doing, like one probably like showed up a little bit later, to the, oh yeah, I guess I am doing that one can probably fucking go.
Or is there one that like you're doing for somebody else versus doing for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think when I look at things, I'm just like, am I doing this because it's mutually beneficial? Am I doing it because I think it's helping you? Am I doing it because I think it's helping me? It's like, if this is at any time as a one-sided thing, then like, why? So I think it's important too, to like, just kind of like take stock of everything that you are doing and look at like it's like budgeting, it's like, fuck it, if there's got to be management, there's probably got to be like an like energy accountant.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to account for all this fucking energy.
Mike, make the Excel about it.
Yeah.
Can you?
Speaking of work, one thing at work that I do is I recently got a new job back in September, I believe it was, and a great place to work. I really enjoy it, and I'm able to guide my bosses to where I'm most effective. If we're doing training, let's train me in the morning. If we're doing deep dive research, let's do that in the morning. If we're doing data entry and stuff like that, let's move that to the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I've recognized that's better for my brain and my energy and everything like that. That if you come and try to teach me something deep at 3:30 in the afternoon, who knows if I can remember it tomorrow.
It's kind of like that study that they did for like in the court system, where the cases that get tried right before the lunch break or right before the end of day get longer sentences because the judge is grouchy.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's the fucking end of the day.
Yeah. People's brains are not firing in the way that they want to, and they don't have all like the patience and like all the thinking happen.
I feel
that
the
time.
exact opposite. I feel like I have less patience in the morning. If you ask me a deep question in the morning, the answer will always be go fuck yourself.
Well, that's weird that we're different.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
It is weird. It's
Imagine that.
What do you know? But I mean, I feel like that. But the thing is that I know that like if you ask me the same question in the afternoon, I'd be happy to answer it. But I think being able to look at the way your time, look at the energy that you're going to have and the type of energy you're going to have, because like I might have a certain type of energy. I might be more willing to talk to people in the afternoon, but not in the morning. I might be more willing to do paperwork at later in the day after I'm tired of talking to people.
Yeah, like knowing yourself well enough.
Yeah. How would you change your schedule to accommodate your energy?
I just don't want to have a job.
So
Capitalism is the problem.
can we do that?
Not yet, apparently. I have to pay bills.
Okay, I'm gonna check CNN. I'm gonna check the feeds and stuff and see if
they've taken care of capitalism yet.
See if it's still
We've been in
going.
here for 42 minutes. Maybe it's changed.
Yeah, and we can't look at our phones in here, so you look for us. Check if it's still happening. We'll hope that it's done by the time we get out of here. I definitely think that energy management is something that's, I don't know, I feel like even employers don't really consider, they look at it as time management. You are on the clock, therefore you should be doing this. Not like you might be better suited for this, or maybe the reason you're taking a break at the same time every day is because you're fucking tired of at the same time every day. And like, so I think it's very much, it's about priorities. It's about being best friends with Mike is really what it's about. what it's about. I didn't know how to sum that up, but goddamn, I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much, Mike.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes,
both.
absolutely. Thank you. All right, well, that has been the Smoke Break. I've been your host, your old pal Zane, here with Jasmine Nothing.
Now we're best friends with Mike.
And Mike Lindsey.
We're more connected than ever.
Oh, perfect. We'll see you next time. Later, players.